Hello, this is my hometown of Fowler, California, located in the Central Valley. It has a population of a little over 6,000. Here is Central Pacific Railroad that was pushed by Thomas Fowler, the founder, in 1872. It is still used to this day to transport many goods. The Fowler Post Office was established the same day as the town's name, and this isn't the original spot, but I think its placement is really symbolic. The banner here is constantly changing. It serves as a guide for the community to advertise what's going on and just try to get everyone's involvement, whether that be for the fall festival, the marching parade, or the farmers market. And then next to the post office sits the Fowler Switch plaque. It gives a little history of the town just to try to give that historic background. And again, it adds that little value of how the city got founded. And then this is Merced Street. It has all the family-owned businesses. There's A-Mart. It's the only grocery store in town. It's that white one to your left. And their groceries are definitely marked a little higher than you can find out in town. So people really use it more for emergencies, like, oh, I forgot some tomatoes. Let's go to A-Mart real quick. But as you see me walking down, you'll notice blue ribbons on the street lamps. They're honoring the mayor that has just passed away a few days ago. And here is me showing you more businesses. They even have a gym. Again, it is pricier than you can find out in a bigger city, but they do have that. Here we have the CVS that has closed down permanently. It has been here for as long as I can remember, and its closing has really caused panic for elders and caregivers who have really, would walk here or take that 3-minute drive to come pick up medications, and now they'll have to drive over 15 minutes away, and that's not always possible for everyone. So I really hope that they can figure out an alternative so that they can continue providing these services. This is a little peek of the homes in town. The homes on this side mostly have families that have been here for generations. And that brown building has served as the only medical clinic in town for a really long time. It's where now they have upgraded, and I didn't get to show you guys, but we do have a Valley Children's Hospital clinic now that helps not just Fowler, but the communities nearby. And here in the middle of town is where they'll have the Christmas tree lighting. Everybody gathers. They can even get their ornament hung up on the tree. It's very fun, really family oriented. And then as I continue walking down Merced Street, goes down a few more blocks, you can see some churches and the senior center that I'll show you more in just a bit. But Panzac Park is the first park established here. It's where the festival and farmers market are hosted. Businesses will set up, and the neighbors and business owners alike can get to know each other on a personal level. The senior center used to be the town's hospital. Now it hosts weekly activities for elders and daily lunches as well. During school vacation periods, children under 18 can come get a sack lunch. They also distribute food monthly here. And then the bus stop here provides services to get people around town. It's a little different than your typical bus, but because you have to call and be like, hey, can you come pick me up Wednesday at 5? And they'll be like, yeah. But yeah, it works out fine. Everyone's getting where they need to be. That's pretty cool. And then here is the only high school in town. There are only 4 schools, 2 elementaries, a middle school, and then this one, of course. Students here mostly walk to and from home. They'll even go out on their lunches to Merced Street, and they'll grab lunch and just sit at the park. There's plenty of homes near the schools for students to walk here. The only people living out in the country use the bus. Now, this elementary school is the furthest from town. It has a learning center for ages 5 and under that has been very helpful, because before, there was only one preschool with very limited space, and if you couldn't get a spot, you'd have to go search for services like with Head Start or something else. I was actually one of those few kids who had to go a different route. This school is at the outskirts of town, and after that it's just vineyards with like 1 or 2 homes. But these new homes being built here are definitely attracting younger families. And then we have the Veteran Memorial Park that just shows how the town likes to include all citizens residing here, and they have dedicated this area for memorial services like on 9/11 and Veterans Day. And I really wanted to give a visual of the Central Valley, and it's a clear day, it's so pretty, and you can see the mountains, and this is just a glimpse of the miles and miles of farmland that surround the city, from the vineyards to lemon and orange trees. It's a very hard agricultural labored city with a lot of immigrants working the fields. Now, Mongolia Commons was just built in 2019, and it's solely for low-income families. I know the waitlist is long, but it's been beneficial for the community. Although it's further from central town, it's still close to the schools. This is a national raisin factory. It's at the end of town. Most industrial businesses and factories are, but this is the closest one to homes, and it's considered a more downgraded area. Now, on the other side of the railroad is where things begin to get more busy. There's a lot of chain businesses, like we have the Dollar General, which serves as a replacement for like Walmart and Target. People don't have to travel, the 10 minutes, 15 minutes to come get their basic necessities. And as we continue walking, we can see the McDonald's and the gas stations. You can see where the freeway entrances and exits are. And there's even a hotel that has been recently built, maybe within 10 years, I think. And it's attracted a lot of travelers, as the closest town north is 10 miles and the closest town south is 4 miles. But yeah, these businesses have been really helping creating jobs for the community. And over that bridge, you can see there's newer communities being built with the newcomers coming from the Bay Area that are searching for that small town feel. They're coming to live here. But yeah, that's basically it. I hope that you were able to learn more about Fowler, California and all that it has to offer.
My name is Ruben Martinez, born and raised here in Fowler. I'm an educator of 27 years. I've taught for 15 years. I spent the rest of the time as a school administrator for at-risk kids, longtime residents of Fowler.
Nice. And do you have any history of how your family came here?
Yeah, my family came here in the 20s with my grandfather coming from Mexico. He came to work through the Bruceros program, and when he did that, he decided he wanted to stay and raised a family here.
Awesome. And what has made you stay?
I left for a time after college. I wanted to go somewhere else, to try to leave Fowler. I wanted to see life outside of Fowler. But I came back because it's my hometown. It's where I feel at home, and relatives and friends here. So I decided to make it a home for myself and my family.
Can you tell me how you would describe Fowler, in your own words?
Fowler's a tight-knit community, and there's a lot of generational family members here. It has a long tradition of Hispanic families living in the area, Armenian families living in the area. You see more Hispanic population now since they started coming, in the 20s, 30s, 40s. People here in Fowler like to pride themselves on being a small town community where everybody's your neighbor, and for the most part, most people get along.
Yeah. Would you consider that some of the strengths of this town?
I think so. There's like any town, you're going to have growing pains. There's a shift of the power of Fowler, like in government. It used to be the Armenians controlled most of the town, and then now I think the shift is more Latinos. We have more Hispanic people in government, owning businesses. So as the time went on, you see that change. But I think the idea of Fowler still remains. They want to keep it as small as they can, but yet, for a town to survive, it has to grow a little bit.
Yeah.
So, but it's been growing slowly, and I think that is the whole overall mindset. Just to keep it small, keep it family friendly, and and raise your family in a town that you can be proud of.
Yeah. Do you think there's any like weaknesses in this town, like community like needs that you see are not being addressed?
Yeah, I think there's there's areas in Fowler that always need to be addressed. Our government is set up where we don't have districts, and so, for example, all your council members live in a certain area of town, and then usually that area of town is probably the best kept area of town. So those could be issues for people who live on west side of Fowler, south side of Fowler, because you don't have any representation. So those are all constant struggles. The town has always been, even though we're 85% Hispanic, there's certain groups of families that still control this town that been here for generations, where their families had really started the town. So you kind of see that political side of it, and I think you'll see that in a lot of towns. But advocates, such as people in the city council, people on the board will fight for equality for everybody. So you'll always have that struggle, of who gets catered to the most in town, and I think you see that in a lot of cities, and that's kind of an issue, but not real big. You'll see that pop up every now and then.
Well, I think that covers my next question, but is there any other social issues that you noticed in the community?
No, I think any other social issues are probably, you'll see some homeless people in Fowler.
Really?
that will spring up, and then you'll handle those issues. The only social issues that really occur are the ones that you'll see in schools or in the town. The representation that I mentioned. We want kids to be treated equally, and I think that's, as an educator, that's always in the first forefront for me is equity in education, equity in government, representation. Even though sometimes we'll have the majority of a Hispanic population, those aren't always the people that are always in control. But like I said, the shift, we've been shifting a little bit, where we see more Latino representation, and that's good. Like Fowler has always been a town, even though it didn't matter what race you were, you were a tight-knit group, and so we don't experience the social issues that you'll see in a bigger city, but they'll, like I said, they'll pop up every now and then, and I think Fowler deals with them professionally, and they take in consideration, people, the feelings, where they come from, who they are. We now live in a population of about 6,000 people in the community. I'm at 3,000 that was born and raised here. So the other 3,000 that are here are, what other people that have moved into the community that are not from Fowler. And sometimes that could be an issue, because then you'll get those people in government, and they'll start making changes that are surprising to people who've been here forever. And so those issues will come up. And I can give you a case in point. We had a Little League field that was donated by a family, and they donated that field for Little League purposes.
Yeah.
And so as time goes on, people change. We get people from other communities come in here, in our school districts, run school districts, and they'll make that change. They'll change it to a softball field. Well, to me, as a guy that's from Fowler, goes against what that field was meant for in the beginning. So some of those things will pop up, and then they'll discuss it in board meetings, and then they'll come up with a compromise, like they just did. They built a new Little League field, so in a different part of town. So those things, they come to the forefront, and then are usually hashed out.
That's good. That was really good. Super informational. You good. You covered everything.
Well, good.
Thank you. Yeah.
Well, I've known, the Hernandez family and our family. We've known each other for a long time, We have family members that married into each other,
Oh,
you know,
really?
and so it's kind of like friends and family.
My name is Monica Segala, and I was hired in Fowler in the fall of 2000 at Sutter Middle School, where I taught for almost 14 years, 7th grade ELA.
Yeah, I remember. So, what brought you here? You just
To Fremont or to Fowler?
To Fowler in general.
To Fowler in general. Well, my husband's from Fowler,
Okay.
so he was born in Selma but raised in Fowler. We were married. I am from Sanger. We live in Sanger now, and I was teaching in Sanger, and I went back to school to get my graduate degree. Once we got married, I thought, you know what, let me just get my graduate degree. So I started getting a little bored, so I started to sub because I taught in Sanger for 3 years. And so I put my name back out there to start subbing, and my husband said, you should try Fowler. It's a smaller size than Sanger, obviously. And so I think you'd like it. So I put my name in here, and I was called like the next couple of days from Fremont. And it's because the secretary here recognized the last name of Segala, and I didn't realize she lived across the street from my in-laws.
Oh.
So I started getting called here to sub a lot, and then Sutter called me, so I started subbing at Sutter. And then I enjoyed the small community. I enjoyed the class sizes. Everybody was friendly. And so what has made me stay? Actually, the kids.
The kids.
I like the kids. They're the best part of the day. They are why I'm here. The community, although there are times when the community can be tough on you because it's a small town and our school's in the middle of the town, they're also a group that rallies around everybody. Last year, in 2020, I was diagnosed with breast cancer during the pandemic. So it was a summer right after the pandemic hit. So this community really rallied around me, and I never felt like I was left out. And really, it was really a neat feeling to know how much you become part of it. Even my husband's like, gosh, I'm the real Fowler guy. I'm the one who's from Fowler, and yet you're the one who has taken on the Segala. And I said, well, I'm representing your family well.
It sounds like those are some great strengths of the community. Do you notice any like weaknesses in this town?
Well, to me, sometimes the town can assume too much, or sometimes the town, I know that they're taxpayers and they deserve a right to know things, but there are certain things that we can't discuss, and there's decisions that we make as educators because we know, kids come first. That's why we're here. And so from the outside, they might think they know what's going on or why a decision was made, but they don't know it all. And because of the nature of our positions and because of the career we chose, we can't share everything. We can't share why you don't know why the school was locked down or why it wasn't locked down or why we approached a certain thing a certain way. From anything from mask mandates to maybe they heard a rumor that a kid said or did, and then they use social media to kind of go at you, and that's not cool.
The last question is, are there any social issues that you've noticed that you kind of wish would be addressed?
I'm seeing a lot, as much as there's a lot of, we used to call them like helicopter parents, now we call them lawnmower type parents where they just kind of so you have like two things. You have parents who want to solve all their kids' problems instead of letting kids handle the consequences of making a bad choice, and so a lot of those parents are kind of your younger parents. And then you have parents you have families where kids come from a lot is going on at home, and they know too much of it too. Like I know that there's problems that go on at home. There's dynamics that we're seeing more of that I didn't see growing up in the 80s. But I wish they wouldn't let their kids know that. Our kids are coming with a lot of lot heavier. You know, if you could just think of imaginary luggage on their shoulders.
Yeah.
And that's what's sad. You know, you have a lot of kids coming in that we have a student support specialist. Every school has a student support specialist on campus, and our student support specialist is busy.
Yeah.
She has groups of kids that she sees, and you know, it's nice because I do know a lot of what's going on, but now they know they can go to her too. And then sometimes you see some of those challenges that they go through manifest into a behavior, you know, and so we have to really get at the core of why they're behaving that way, know their story, and then we can better adjust. And it doesn't mean you have to discipline them and give them a referral and like we used to do at Sutter, put them on the red line or something like that. We don't do that anymore. I mean, I hope they don't do that, but we don't do that here. But those are some things. Bullying, you know, we really, at our school, we have PBIS, and so, you know, I talk always about the Eagle Way, how we treat people with kindness and respect. That's the golden rule. Not everyone has to be best friends, but you got to be respectful. And I tell them there's a difference between bullying, because there was a real push for, I'm being bullied, and I had to tell parents and students alike, people can just be mean sometimes. You know, they can just have a bad day and someone might be mean. But bullying is when someone totally does it repeatedly to the same person. They're finding you. And so if this person has bullied you every day at recess, then yeah, they're bullying you. Or they're bullying you on the bus, then yes. And they're finding you, and they're finding a way to be mean. I said, but there is a difference between a kid having a bad day and being mean than being a bully. And so I've really felt like we've been able to compartmentalize those two, and like the kids can see that. So that's it.
Thanks for recording.